What's up, guys? Today I have my local lender, Scott Horejsi, here with Mortgage Wright, here to answer a few questions about the financing and the lending process. I've been getting a lot of messages lately about, what do I do to start the home buying process? And the lenders are usually the first step of the way. So Scott, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So before we kind of dip into the financing questions themselves, what made you want to pursue a career in lending in the first place?
Good question. It wasn't like I was dreamt about financing home
Right.
loans, but I had a couple of friends that are still loan officers, and the freedom and the flexibility to work remote, although I do come to the office every day, I just liked it. And as I got more and more immersed in it, I really enjoyed helping people buy homes, and it's been a great career so far.
Awesome. So kind of diving into what it takes to qualify for a home, because I think there's a lot of things on the internet that say like, oh, you need to do this or you need to do this. What would you say is the biggest misconception about qualifying for a home?
Misconception, I still get occasionally people that think you need to put down 20% to qualify for a home. There are various minimum down payment requirements depending on the loan program, and the first step is going to be to pull credit or at least discuss credit with your lender. So, for example, on an FHA loan, the minimum down payment is 3.5% of the purchase price. On a conventional loan, that would depend on whether you are a first-time home buyer or not. The definition of first-time home buyer is 3 years. So if you have not owned a home in 3 years and a day, you could technically qualify with 3% down. If you have owned a home, it's 5% down. Now there are also some no down payment options. A VA loan and a USDA loan are no down payment loans. And there's also down payment assistance. One of the most popular ones is through the state of Nevada called Home is Possible, and that's down payment assistance. So theoretically, someone could buy a home with nothing out of their pocket, as long as the seller is willing to pay all of the closing costs and you utilized either a USDA, VA, or a down payment assistance loan.
Cool.
So there's a lot of options, which is why it's important to talk with a local lender. But occasionally I still do get I'm still saving 20%. Now that's only to avoid mortgage insurance, which is great, because that's just money you're kind of wasting, in my opinion. But heck yeah, anywhere between 0, 3, and 5% down is all you need, and that can be in the form of a gift from family. That can also be you can borrow against like a 401k, for example. There's options to come in with that.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely hear a lot too from a lot of prospective buyers, is that, oh, I don't have enough saved, or I don't know how much my down payment's going to be. But like you said, that's what's so important about speaking to a lender, because you don't know what those beginning steps are if you're just reading stuff off the internet or
I think it's a good
it is.
roadmap to at least get started, even if the timeline is out of ways. I mean, sometimes I'll talk to people that are a year or longer, and it's going to be things like credit is going to be critically, and then full time. There's various rules on income that I think a lot of borrowers don't understand. So if I see someone that has only been part time for a certain duration and things of that nature, we want to maybe consider bringing on a full time position that changes some of the requirements as far as what's considered qualifying income.
Right.
And just having a conversation with your lender and mapping out a plan, regardless of the timeline, is never a bad idea. We can do stuff like a soft pull and get an idea of their score and say, hey, we need to improve your credit score. It's going to be beneficial for rate and cost of rate and things like that. And then if nothing else, we can work. And if someone's got really poor credit, I will often refer them to a credit repair place that can certainly expedite that.
Yeah.
But a lender can typically help. There are some pretty cool scenario tools that we can run that will tell us, for example, hey, I can get you a 95% probability of getting you to a 640 or a 700 or whatever that target is, depending on where they're kind of standing currently. So
that's really cool, and I don't think a lot of people understand that lenders have the power to do that. So I think at face value, it's just, oh, this person's just getting me a loan. But in reality, you could be solving a lot of problems for them, because I know you and I have sat down with a handful of people that have either low credit or tons of debt or whatever the situation is. And so they thought they were going to be able to purchase a home in 3 months, but in reality, it's going to be closer to 6 to 9 months because they have to figure out some things. But they never would have known that if we didn't sit down with them and given them that information.
Sometimes we like to call ourselves like a mortgage consultant, because we'll look at their overall picture, right? So if they've got credit card debt and some of these other things, like for example, on a VA loan, you can have liabilities paid off by the seller, which is the only loan program that does allow that. But there's some interesting things that go along as we look at someone's overall financial picture. Sometimes we'll throw out like, hey, do you have the ability to find a cosigner? Because your income isn't quite where we need it to be for the price range that you're trying to get to. And then the light bulb can go off and it's like, well, yeah, I can talk to my brother or my parents or whatever. And then we have what's called a non-occupying co-borrower. Provided the credit is there and we have some income, we can add to that loan, and then all of a sudden, rather than $300,000 or $350,000, they may qualify for $400,000 or $450,000, which is where they want to be in the first place. So having that conversation with a lender, if nothing else, you have a like I said, a roadmap to getting to home ownership. Yeah,
just to kind of sum it up, it sounds like all you're doing is providing options. Because if what they think is just one option of how they can pursue a home and purchase a home, you've now laid out 4 or 5 different options as to how to make this possible in a pretty decent time frame.
Yeah, that is probably the most fun, is how to navigate someone's situation and say, hey, do you know that we could do this or we can do that? And that's the neat part, is every loan is different. I mean, there just simply aren't great credit W-2 people that come to you. You've got self-employed, you've got poor credit, you've got some part-time stuff, you've got all these different things. And so that's the neat part, the challenging part for a loan officer, is to navigate and find the best loan program or things that we can do. Hey, let's pay this off, let's pay that off. We still have enough money for closing or down payment, for example, and then the agent may be able to negotiate the seller to pay for your closing costs. And a lot of people are blown away with just the idea that you don't have to have any money, theoretically, to qualify, as long as you've got the credit score and the income.
Yeah.
There are down payment assistance options. There are several.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of, segues into our next question, because I know a handful of people that I talk to when I ask if they've been pre-approved or if they're thinking about getting pre-approved soon, the first thing they say is, oh, well, I'm going to go talk to my bank, whether it's Bank of America, whether it's Wells Fargo. What would you say is some big differences with working with a local lender like yourself compared to a big bank?
Probably the level of service. I mean, good luck trying to get a hold of your bank on a Saturday afternoon at 4 or 5 p.m.
Right.
Most people are seeing homes on nights and weekends, and it's time when they want to write an offer, it is generally not going to be Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And when you have rates that are the same or better, it makes sense to have a local lender. And I've also seen instances where a listing agent and a seller don't like to work with some of the bigger banks sometimes, just for that responsiveness and level of service. So they kind of trust having a local lender that's available. And that's the thing about this career is, the good and the bad. We are always available, and we understand that. So nights and weekends aren't like off time. That's sometimes our busiest workday. And so that is certainly an advantage to have questions answered, having that level of service, given that the cost and the fees are going to be similar.
Isn't it true that you got someone to pre-approval while you were on vacation in Argentina?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I do tether my stuff to me, so I've got my phone, my laptop, and sometimes when I do travel, I don't even let agents know, because there's no difference, because I'm always connected.
Right.
So yeah, that's never going to be an issue. So that's the thing, is pretty much from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, we're available to have conversations, get pre-approvals out, answer any questions, what have you.
Yeah, and just from a personal experience, I know that we had a client that we were working together on that was originally approved with Rocket Mortgage, and you were able to not only beat the rate, but it didn't take you a week and a half to hear back. or for the client to hear back from you about getting a pre-approval and answer all the underlying questions that come with that. And we were able to close that client, which is fantastic. Well, Scott, I really appreciate you swinging by today, answering some very common questions that I think a lot of, especially first-time home buyers have, or people that are looking to start the process in the next couple years. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.